Oh yeah, fingerstyle. Hey, how's it going? How many of you are out there today? Oh, hard to tell. Quite a few by the looks of it. It's fingerstyle guitar playing. I'm using an electric. Yeah. You can use an acoustic guitar too, whatever you want. What's a good place to start? Well, you have to decide how many fingers you're going to use and what fingers. You hear all kinds of bunk about finger picking and all kinds of lies. When I was first taught, I was taught what's called the claw hammer style, which was the edge of my thumb for the bass notes and my first, second, and third fingers on my right hand for the plucking strings. And what they would get you to do is take a C chord or a G chord or something, and you learn to pluck the bass note with your thumb, the side of your thumb, and then with your first, second, and third fingers, pluck the third, second, and first string with the flesh of your fingers. You'll notice that on my hand I've got nails. I don't know if you can see them. Maybe you can see them there better. Maybe turn it around like that. But you'll notice that this finger doesn't have a nail on it because I use a pick a lot of times, and I also finger tap, and that nail would get in my way. Plus, when I use a pick, I use these three fingers, and then the nails come in handy. I do have a thumbnail, so I can do more of a classical style. And when I do, I use all four of my fingers, even the finger without the nail. I use the fleshy tip of my fingers. So I could go into a lot of detail about grooming nails. These nails aren't groomed correctly at all. I've recut them because I play more on a steel string than I do on a nylon string. Really, the nails are usually not strong enough to take the beating on a steel string. I manage, because I take extra calcium to make the nail strong. Seems to help a lot, plus I've got a fairly light touch. My preference is to use a pick and these three fingers. That's the second, third, and fourth, which is unusual in one way, but it's not completely, because it's what they call hybrid picking. But to do a regular folk style pluck, you use the edge of your thumb and these three fingers here. And like I said, your first finger is underneath the third string. Your bad finger, the birdie finger, is on the second string. And the first finger is taken care of, or the first string is taken care of by the third finger. So they're underneath like that, right? And your best bet is to take real simple and get your hands coordinated. The idea is not to move your hand too much. You want to move your plucking fingers at the bottom towards the center of your palm. You don't want to dramatize it. Like, you don't want to have to make a big movement like that. It's an over-exaggeration, but you don't want to do that. You want to keep the minimum amount of movement. So bass pluck, and I'm just plucking the three highest strings together in unison. You have to first get them coordinated, and you want to learn to alternate your bass strings. That's fairly easy, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and go to C, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and D and 2 and 3. Yeah, it's bass, pluck. This one's bass, pluck, pluck, bass, pluck, pluck, bass. You can do that with any chord, really. The idea is to get these hands coordinated and not to move your plucking hand too much. And it's just the very tip of the flush that you want to use. So that'd be your first step, is to do that. Of course, there's many other plucking patterns, but this is a good place to start. I'll do it like this with my pick. So I'll go, it's not wrong to do it that way. It just feels, yeah, it feels a little different and takes a little bit of different technique. It's very similar, you know, so that's your decision, because whatever way you decide to use this bass and pluck movement. See, I regret not playing from the very beginning with a pick and using my second, third, and fourth finger instead of my first finger, because for me that suits my style great, and it might for you, I don't know, because I like to use it. I don't want to have to put the pick in my mouth and go back to my fingers. I want to have the pick there because the pick is an advantage, a leverage advantage, and it's so for me, this is my reason for it. Some players will tell you that you don't use your pinky. That's a bunch of bunk too. You can use whatever works. Some guys for hybrid picking only use a couple fingers, you know. I mean, you're limited to what you can pick with just the two. I use as many fingers as I've got, right? The idea is the coordination, you know, so those three fingers work together. Bass, pluck, pluck, bass, pluck, pluck, bass, pluck, pluck, bass, pluck, pluck. But just take one chord and just work your bass notes. On the G chord, I have three options for my bass notes. Your thumb, or your pick in my case, takes care of the top three strings. And those are your bass notes, right? Like when I get to a C, if I'm playing a regular C, I'm not catching the sixth string, but I can also catch the G string or the G bass note, the sixth string. So it depends on what you're doing, but it's like, and there's many patterns, like I showed you. The 3/4 timing is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's bass, pluck, pluck, you know, and a straight 8 is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and bass, pluck, bass, pluck, bass. And you still have the pick in your hand for the strumming, eh? Although you can strum with your thumb and your finger too. Again, that's kind of up to you, but whatever you decide now will definitely affect what you're able to do later. I unfortunately, when I first started, they didn't have those kinds of views towards picking at all, and unfortunately, they taught me first with my thumb and my first three fingers, which, well, like I said, if that works for you, some guys use a thumb pick, you know, one that fits around your thumb. That's what Chet Atkins used to use. So that's not wrong either. You got to find what works for you. This is what works for me. The general rule is the same for your finger picking. We need, you know, 2 or 3 fingers to cover the higher strings, and at least one finger or thumb or something to catch the bass strings. I say use as many fingers as you got. All right, have fun with this. Good luck, and maybe we'll see you later on a more advanced finger picking exercise. This is Colin Daniel from riffninja.com, signing out.